Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, welcome to episode 21 of the Married and Bored podcast, where we're happy to be here.
We are always happy to be with you.
That's very true. We hope everyone is having a great week, playing some games, having some fun. Let's just jump right into it, Angela.
As we should.
What's up with you?
What is up with me? All right, guys. Well, I think that the biggest board game news in our household is that we are moving all of our games to a different area of the house.
Hey, I'm just glad that it's not that I bought another game.
Did you know I was going to talk about this?
Well, I think so, because we've been working on it for 3 days.
Not the podcast, about working on the house. So, yes, we are moving all of the games out of Christian's wonderful home office here. And we are going to be putting them in our front kind of living area we've kind of experimented with a few different things, and I think we're settling on, what is it, the Kilax or?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's the IKEA board game shelf that everybody gets, Kilax or Kilax.
Okay.
But we're going to get one of those. Yeah, it'll be good. We're in the process of building like a bookshelf / storage area in our living room.
Because we do like books as well as games.
Right, so we just needed something to fill up. We have a giant wall in our living room with nothing on it right now. It's like the living room that no one goes in, and we're like, we need to do something in this room to make it look nicer, and maybe we'll actually hang out.
Looks like maybe people live there. I feel like whenever we come home from vacation, we walk into our house and we go, man, it looks like we just moved in.
Yeah. It's a work in progress. We've been here, 4 years? So we'll make it work.
Oh, you guys.
So a part of this whole construction is
that we are doing 2 bookcases on like the outer part of the wall, I guess you could say. And then in the middle, we thought we were going to move Christian's desk out there and that he was going to work out there and that we would kind of leave the board games where they were. And then we realized once we kind of experimented with that all the podcasting we do would be out in this big open space. Anytime he's on a meeting call, that would be in a big open space. And it just, practically speaking, wasn't the best solution for us. So then we thought, let's move the board games.
Yeah, so currently they're out in the other room. We're just experimenting with the current shelf that it's on. Now, the debate that we've been having is whether or not to cover the board games or to put them behind a door. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we disagree.
Do you want to lay your case out first?
I don't think I have a case. I just don't feel like they need to be covered and hidden. Now, part of me does want to hide them because low key, I am a little embarrassed by how many we have. And when you think of board games, you think of like really nerdy and geeky things. Now, deep down, that's probably who I am.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. That's the internal debate that I talk to myself over.
Okay, so we did have this discussion, and I feel like I need to lay out my side of the story.
Yeah, go for it.
My case. So I think the original plan in Christian's mind was to move them out there and leave them exposed. The original plan in my mind was to move them out there and enclose them. And just a plug for your marriage, communication. So neither of us had really voiced that. And then when we got out there, Christian was like, oh, basically we're done once we get this all built in because there they go. They're on the shelf. And I was like, oh, no, we need doors on this. And so then it became, are you embarrassed of the board games? And I knew I wasn't, but I was having trouble explaining why I wanted them covered. And I think it comes down to this. So maybe any ladies that are listening, maybe you can feel this more than males who are listening, but I hope there's a male out there that feels what I'm feeling. It's not that I'm embarrassed that we have board games. Not at all. It's more that when you put all the board games together, there's no coherent color scheme or aesthetic design. It's like, this board game animation is super cartoony, and this one is like super anime style, and then this one is like dark colors and like goblins, and then this one is like bright and intergalactic, and it makes my mind hurt to see them all displayed, like lined up like a bookshelf, like in rows, which is what we would want to do in order to maximize the space. So I was like, no, I think we need to cover it because it just looks too busy. So that, I'm not embarrassed. I still maintain that. I know you don't quite believe me. I'm really not. And in the case of like games that I think are just exceptionally beautiful, like maybe Wingspan, like the cover is exceptionally beautiful. I would even put those outside of the shelf on like the bookcase shelf and display them
more prominently,
but you can't do that when you have 45 games. There's no room. You have to stack them like books. So.
Yeah. And I think maybe it wouldn't be as big of an issue if it were in like a back office or a back game room. If they were open in there, like, so what? People have to walk through our whole house to even find it. But it's kind of the first thing you see when you walk into our house, the way it's laid out. Does that kind of go into the...
Yeah, but not because I'm embarrassed we have games. It's more just like someone walks in and immediately are visually assaulted by colors, and it's just too much.
Right.
And you did bring up a good point. You said, well, aren't books the same thing?
Yeah, if books do the same thing.
And okay, a little bit. However, there's just less surface area to a book. And I think that people's minds automatically, like, know what that is. Okay. Because they see that so frequently.
Yeah.
So they walk into a space and it's like their brain already registers, oh, that's books.
Gotcha.
I don't know. That might not make sense to... If you agree with me, you better write to us and let me know.
Open or closed, guys. That's what we need to know. But it's going to be closed because that's what we decided. So yeah, and to make it worse right now is that you can't find Kalax shelves anywhere. I mean,
thanks, IKEA.
You find them at IKEA, but at our IKEA in Tempe, Arizona, they're just sold out of everything. So that project is kind of put on hold right now.
We're putting a hold on it. So right now you are getting what you want. There's open shelving.
Yep. And then eventually you'll just like it as it is.
That's the plan. You see the master plan, everyone?
That's right.
There it is.
Schemer, I'm playing games when I'm not playing games.
All right, well, before everyone thinks they've logged on to like a HGTV gaming podcast, what's up with you?
You know what? To be honest, not much. We were playing games. We played a lot of the game we're talking about this episode, Mariposas, in the past few weeks. Obviously, been really enjoying that. I went to a local game store with a buddy over lunch a few weeks ago, and I picked up a game called Targi, which it's funny because I had seen this game pop up probably like 3 or 4 times in the last month, just in reviews online. Maybe like Shut Up and Sit Down did one, and then I watched a few YouTube videos of my like random person's top 6 2-player games or top 10 games of all time, and that game showed up in probably like 3 of those countdowns, and it happens to be a 2-player game. We haven't played it yet, which I'm looking forward to doing, but yeah, that was kind of a cool smaller game to pick up. I think it was like $15. So
he wanted to play it during this time, and I convinced him to podcast instead.
Yeah, so instead of playing the game, we're talking to you folks. But yeah, and that just kind of got me thinking, like right now with everything going on, and it's still still COVID and working from home and just, I don't know, there's a lot of, not pressure, but tension everywhere.
Tension.
Feels like that's the correct word.
I think you said COVID like 3 times within 30 seconds.
Probably.
So yeah, there's like some mental pressure.
Yeah, so like sitting down and playing a 2-hour game is not on my mind at all. So I've been really enjoying and looking forward to like those short game experiences. I still love Rebellion, Star Wars Rebellion, and games like that, Lord of the Rings, Journey Through Middle Earth. But like to be able to play a game and just like scratch that itch for 30 to 45 minutes has really been hitting the spot.
Mm-hmm. Can I do a second thing?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, why not? It's our show.
Okay. Referee says...
No, you cannot, says the
it's okay.
Producer in the corner, our dog.
Okay. No, I just... You reminded me when you said Rebellion. It was probably a few weeks ago now. Christian was just sitting in a chair. Kids had gone to bed, and he's like, hey, why don't you rate these games that we own on a scale of 1 to 10 about how much you like them? And he had already rated them either in his own mind or he wrote them down somewhere.
No, I did it. It was on actually our BGG account.
Oh, so you had...
that I set up.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm just going to rate them based on what I like. And then I probably should have asked Angela.
Well, it's funny because when he brought it up, I thought, okay, we're going to be really different. We're going to be so different. And we did have, like, of course, slight differences, but I was surprised at how similarly we rated. Like, what did you throw at me? Like 5, 6 games?
Yeah, maybe
in our
like
collection?
5 to 10.
Yeah, I was surprised at how close our ratings were.
Yeah, with 1 being the least and 10 being the best, I think.
And we even went down to a 1/10 of a point, right? We did like...
Or at least a half.
Because I think I gave like an 8.7 to something.
Ooh.
Or yeah, and so I was surprised at how...
The only one I really remember matching on is Rebellion, which is why you just thought of that.
Yeah, that's why I thought of it.
I think we both gave it an exact like 9.5.
Yeah, or a 10. Or I gave it a 9.5 and you gave it a 10. I don't remember.
Yeah,
it was
something
something
like that.
really close. And I was just surprised at how, as probably you were, how high I rated it and how high you rated it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we play it like twice a year.
Well, there's reasons for that, which I just kind of explained. It
explained.
takes so long to play that game. Was there any that you can remember that we were pretty different on?
Not that we were super different, honestly. I think that, it's always a surprising one for me. Not our ratings, but we had very similar ratings, but when we see it in social media and on posts and people talk about it, Everdale is not that far up for us. And we were pretty close in our ratings. I think hovering
6
in the
to
high
7?
high 6s to mid 7s. It's just not. I mean, I guess it's above average, right?
Yeah,
high 6 and 7 is above average.
It's a good game. It's not
Yes.
for us for some reason. It just hasn't gone. Just because it hasn't gone over the hump,
it's busted through that next layer of...
Yeah, and I think maybe this game Mariposas is closer to that than Everdell. They're very different, but like with Wingspan, we know what to do in that game. You know, we've got our plan based on what's on the board. In Mariposas, we kind of do, and just in like Clank, we have an idea of what we want to do. In Everdell, it's just kind of like, well, I guess I need rocks, so I'm gonna get rocks. Like we can't think that far ahead to figure out why or to have a good plan.
And if you want to hear our in-depth thoughts on Everdale, you should go back and listen. But I just keep coming back to, it's just a chicken sausage game for me. And you guys will just have to, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know.
Yep.
And if you don't know, go back and listen to that episode.
Maybe in our mind, overhyped slightly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this podcast is not about Everdale.
No, it's definitely not. It is about Mariposas, which we just mentioned. So we're going to take a quick break and come back and chat about it.
Woohoo!
All right, guys. Well, we had a lot of fun playing this game this week. We played
Mariposas.
Yeah, and you know what, Ange? I'm going to throw a curveball, and I am going to describe what the game is this week.
Oh my goodness.
I know, because I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I'm actually pretty excited to talk about it. Mariposas is a competitive game of movement and set collection for 2 to 5 players. The players take on the role of monarch butterflies, which, side note, mariposas is the Spanish word for butterflies.
That is a nice little tidbit.
That's right. And you follow a monarch butterfly in their journey from Mexico as they fly north to as far as Canada and back. Throughout the journey, you collect points by reproducing butterflies, to collecting goals, and going to different what's called way station cards, which are cities. And then you get extra points if you can make it all the way back to Mexico by the end of fall. This game's broken up into seasons, so 3 rounds, spring, summer, fall, and then you're done.
Look at that.
Yeah, how did I do?
That, you know what, guys? I would give that an A. An A. And there's still room for improvement.
Oh, okay.
So you're not at an A+.
I'll take it.
All right. So now I don't know what to do because I'm usually the one that's done talking.
I know.
And then you lead in.
Yeah.
Oh, we're leaving you guys to watch me flounder. Okay, let's break down this game.
Yeah, so let's just recap that really fast in case you're new. We like to just talk about 5 categories that are important to us when we decide to play a game, when we decide to buy a game, etc. So this first one is the ease of setup and teardown / put away.
Yes.
Where would you rate that on our arbitrary scale?
Where we sometimes do percentages.
And numbers.
We sometimes do numbers. Sometimes we just say easy, medium, hard.
Yep. What would you say?
All right, I'll say average.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd say it's not a pain in the neck like Rebellion. It's not super, super easy. It's just average. There's a game board. There's a way station board, which is just like a miniature game board. There are mini cards and there are large cards.
Large cards.
But there are no regular sized cards. There's tokens like cities and butterflies. So there's things to set up.
Yeah.
And there's things to put out. And it doesn't matter how much you know the game. You know, that's still going to, even if you're playing your 1,000th time of this game, you still have to
Put
do
stuff
all
where it
that.
goes.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to get quicker at it, you know. You just still have to do all that. I'd say it's pretty standard.
Yeah, I think for a modern board game, it's probably pretty right in the middle. It is maybe a little overwhelming when you open it up. There is a lot of stuff in the box.
So much to punch out.
Right, that's number one thing, and also my number one favorite thing to do with games. But like Angela said, you have the butterfly tokens, you have cards that you have to set up on a separate board than the main board. You have way station tokens, which have to be randomly put on the board in different cities throughout the main game board. And so that is time consuming, like you said, no matter how many times you play it.
Nothing that a modern board gamer would be put off by.
No, I mean, there's no like, okay, I got to make sure that this deck of cards has cards 6 through 9, but we didn't put it away correctly last time, so now we have to find 6 through 9. Like, everything's very like...
And which item do you have to equip?
Yeah.
Oh, and which item do you have to equip?
Everything's very easily color-coded, which is great. So all of the sets that you can collect throughout the game are color-coded. So you put them where they go. If you play modern board games, this is going to be no sweat. Now, on the other end of setup, tearing down, all that stuff has to go back into a bag or into your broken token setup thing, whatever you guys have. But this one's not too bad.
No.
Again, it's right in the middle of where an average board game would be.
Absolutely. That's why I said average.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. The second category that we like to talk about and discuss is how accessible is learning to play, both for us as, I don't know, moderate board gamers to experienced. I don't know what you'd call us.
Yeah, I mean, we play enough to know, like, modern board games tropes.
Yeah. And also, I like to also consider, hey, I'm bringing a couple friend over, and I don't want to scare the female away from board games. So is this a good board game for her?
Yeah.
Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I would think, again, this is probably fairly average for a modern board game. It's accessible to every type of player, whether you've been playing a long time or in our case, which we had a couple days ago, we had some friends over. This was their first time playing, and we hope we could explain it easy enough that they were able to pick it up quickly. Mm-hmm. Things that this game does well that help you learn how to play is that the cards and spaces are very visual on what you are going to do with them. So like the cards you play each turn will have arrows. However many arrows are on that card, that's how much spaces you have to move.
Yep.
That's pretty self-explanatory. Every space on the board, and the board is really cool. It's very colorful.
Love it.
And laid out like the eastern half of the United States. So
and into Canada.
Right, like all the way up to Toronto and up there.
Quebec.
Is that the...
Quebec City.
That's right. That's right. And so you know that when you stop on a space, there's a picture of a flower. Well, guess what? Every time you stop on a space, you get that flower as currency for the game. So that's easy to remember. Like there's no crazy, okay, I moved 6 spaces. Now I'm 4 spaces away from that butterfly. So can I shoot him? Does he have line of sight? There's no like weird,
You're not constantly referencing the directions. After you learn how to play, it's easy to see how the board and the cards help you out. The board itself has reminders of what to do after each season. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good sign that it's accessible to a variety of players when we're not constantly referencing the rule book. It doesn't mean that games where we are constantly referencing the rule book are bad. It just means that those are probably ones that aren't accessible to players of every type.
Yeah, if we are looking up the rule book multiple times during a game, I don't think it's one to introduce to people who are not used to these kind of games.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was the woman that came over of the friend group. She did really well, and at the end, she said she liked it, and she also said it was a lot. Yeah. So, like, I think those can, like, she came with no prior board game knowledge besides, not modern board game knowledge, I should say. And so the thing that I think lends itself to people who aren't into modern board games is the theme, which is what we're going to talk about next, because people know what monarch butterflies are. And, this looks really cool. So it doesn't look like what you were describing before in our What's Up segment. It doesn't look nerdy in the classical sense. It looks beautiful.
It's almost like a piece of art.
Yes.
In a way. Like it's cool to see like board games moving towards that rather than just having all these monsters and crazy stuff. Like it's very like purposeful in the art that they choose. Like there's a lot of video games moving towards that where it's just like this is more of like an art piece rather than like a Call of Duty shoot everything. And like it's fun to see board games like Mariposas and Wingspan, who were done by the same person, by the way, Elizabeth Hargrave, and they have very between the two.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing that I think is really good is about the seasons is that they're on the same board as you play on. Yeah. And you can just flip the card over, and it's like, hey, if you do these things, you get bonus points. And if you forget what to do, you just look at the board because it's right there.
Yeah.
Now on the same side or the opposite side of that, I feel like the way station board, the other board, is sometimes forgotten because it's not on the main board. Like I forget that it's there sometimes, and I know you get points by getting some of those cards as you fly around like a butterfly. Now there's no room for that on the board unless they made it giant.
Yeah, I guess it would be like it's like a setup issue. Like, do you want like a normal sized board with another mini board like they have, or do you want this giant board?
Yeah, I don't know how they could have done it better. I'm sure they tried many things, and the way that they decided to do it, it works well. But like as a new player,
There's a lot.
Just being like, oh yeah, you have to look up here and you have to get these cards up here. And then what are those again? It's like, oh yeah, well, if you just go to a city, you might get one, you know.
Maybe we're just really good teachers.
I don't know.
And that's why
I think we
she liked it.
I think we should probably talk to our friends to see if that's true.
I'm not tooting our horn. I think we're very average.
Probably.
Okay. So we talked about it a little bit, but let's talk about it in depth. Our third category is how immersive is the experience, which is something that is really important to us when we look for a game or when we open a game and decide if we're liking it. Just how much of are you sucked into the world of the game?
Yeah.
The theme or whatever it's trying to be set in. So, how immersive is Mariposas for you?
I think it's above average, which is funny because it's a butterfly game, and I don't personally feel like I'm a butterfly flying around. There's none of that. But
right.
What this game does really well is through the seasons and through what's called like the generations of butterflies, it tells the real life story of monarch butterflies.
Yeah.
Every year they are hatched and they breed in like northern Mexico and they fly north and they fly through the eastern United States. They'll go to Florida. They'll go to up north to Minnesota. They'll go all the way over to New York. Like they go all over the place. And it's cool because like not a butterfly itself is not going to make the whole journey. But like generations of butterflies will make the journey. So like that's in this game, your goal is to get your 4th generation butterfly back to Mexico to start the cycle over again, which would be a new game at that point. But
that's cool.
It's really cool how it gamifies butterflies.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit, I don't know what the right word is. I hope I'm not overstating it when I say that it's very educational. Like our daughter was learning as part of science, like her life cycles, and you can clearly see the life cycle of a butterfly. Start egg, caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly. And you can see the journey that all the monarchs make. I really like that. Even like the breeding has to happen on spaces that are adjacent to milkweed.
Yeah, which is the only food that monarch butterflies eat. That's all they eat.
So cool.
Yeah.
So I will say, and I know this is like really, really being picky, and it's not that I don't like it. I was just very confused. Like, what do the Waystation cards mean or represent as far as the theme goes? That was like a little bit interesting for me. Like, when you go to a city as a butterfly in this game, you pick up a card. And I don't really understand what that is in the theme of the game. Maybe it's just not.
In the theme side of things, I think it's more of just a way to make it more gamey.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'm willing to let that be.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal. It doesn't ruin the whole theme by having to do that.
No, it's just one piece that I couldn't connect in the butterfly story that, the game was trying to tell.
Yeah, I mean, you could be like, well, my butterfly is going to get Starbucks, and then he's going to also do this.
No. I just, I didn't mean to tear it apart.
No, that's just one thing.
I just wanted to know if you had an idea about what that meant, but I guess you don't.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think there's any like story element in that other than it's just another way to make it, to gamify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's not the most immersive game we have, but it is pretty up there. It's above average.
Yeah, like we're going to compare it to Wingspan because they're very similar. Like Wingspan is the same thing. It's just like, well, I've got all these birds on my board, but what does that really mean? Like there's not a real story there?
Well, yes, there is.
Why?
Aren't you getting them in your habitat?
I don't remember.
Oh, I think so.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Referee says?
Elizabeth, let us know. Because totally, I know you're listening. But, there's just some things in game, like, not everything is just going to, like, draw you in and
Totally.
get you all into this story.
So we wanted to be honest about that. We don't really feel like we're Angela and Christian the butterfly.
No, I don't think it's meant
But it's
to.
very educational, and it's it follows the actual scientific path of the monarch butterflies.
Yeah, which we really like. We like that part 100%. Like, we love games where it feels like you're doing Star Warsy things, or it feels like you're stealing stuff from rich people. But this one, you can see the life cycle of a butterfly rather than feel like it.
All right. So our fourth category we like to discuss is how fun is it? What's the fun factor? And also, what does that mean? What does fun mean in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll let you start.
Yeah, I really, 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 really like this game.
Wow, that was a lot of really.
Yeah, I think having played it as much as we have in the past few weeks since we've bought it, I think this might be my favorite game in 2020.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I don't know how many games we've played in 2020. I mean, I know.
I feel like we've played a lot.
I know some, and that goes up to Marvel Champions, which I guess came out last year, which is probably like one of my top 5s as well. Root is in there too. Mm-hmm. There's something about this game that makes me so mad, but I love it.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I don't know how to explain it.
So the first time, maybe not even the first few times we played, you were not a happy camper. Well, after the game ended.
No, I still had fun.
So what does that mean? Like, you had fun?
Well, I think maybe either the rules did it, or I just decided that this is what has to happen. My goal was to get everybody home to Mexico.
Sure.
And I tried so hard to get all my level 4 butterflies to Mexico, and I failed miserably. And I was just like, what? Like, my plan was to do 5. Like, that was my goal, and I think I got 2. And then
which seems pathetic, but you know what, you guys? You just play it. You let us know.
And I realized that I wasn't going to be able to hit my goal, like, with 5 turns left. I was like, what? Yeah. This is not going to work. What kind of game is this?
Right.
Like, why do they want you to go back, but then not let you go back?
You know what I would say? It's tiramisu.
There's lots of layers, yeah. I get it.
Is it fun for you, Angela? Yes.
Thanks for asking.
It is. It is fun. I think that my most recent experience with this game was a little frustrating, because it wasn't just because I lost. It was because I lost terribly.
Abomination.
Well, I didn't lose that one terribly.
I lost
that was
that one terribly.
A little taste of my own medicine.
Yep.
So that's putting a little sour stain on my fun factor. But I have a lot of fun with this game, both in the playing of it and also in the thinking about it afterwards. Because sometimes games aren't like, how do I say it? They're fun because you do so much thinking, so the actual playing of the game is also almost like stressful. It hurts. But this one's not like that for me. It's fun to actually play and move my tokens and turn over waste station. Ooh, what'd you get? You know? Yeah. And see what that is. And I like that it's a competitive game, but no one's out to screw anyone else over.
No one's killing other butterflies.
Which, again, like Wingspan, it's kind of like...
just low-key competitive.
Low-key competitive, there it is. But it's not like Villainous, where it's like, oh, we've got 4 games of solitaire going on here. Like, nobody's involved with anyone else's. I don't know. That's just my opinion. So I really like the playing of it, and I really like the thinking about it afterwards because it's so complex. I think you said it best when, well, I guess you didn't say it, but you told me about it. You said you were watching or reading an article about it, and the person speaking said, so when you play this game again, because you'll have to, and that was true. We played it once. We thought, oh, we know what we're doing. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, there's just, I don't know what it is. There's so many different strategies, and it all depends on like what those season goals are. And that's what's so tricky about this game, and it might be bleeding into number 5. Why don't we just announce this? Is it worth it is our 5th category. Like, is this game worth buying? And I just lost the train of thought that I was going through.
Well, okay, you were talking about, I think, how there's the season goals can...
Yeah, there we go. And that's what makes this game so worth it, is because there are those season goals that change. But what they do is they draw you further and further into the map to get these goals, to get these extra points that you obviously need to win. So one goal might be to have 6 butterflies above a certain city. It's like, oh yeah, got it, nailed it, 10 points. But then you realize that you have all 6 of these butterflies so high up on the map that in fall, which is the last round, you have 6 turns to get 6 butterflies, 20 spaces.
Not going to happen.
That is not going to happen at all. You might get 2 of those guys home.
Yeah. And so then you start morphing what your goal is. Like, okay, do I just sacrifice all my butterflies? Do I think maybe I don't want to get any of them home? Which
I tried.
Yeah.
And I lost. Again.
And then there's also, just for replayability, the season goals can change. The way station, how would you say it? Like a set collection goal or reward can change?
Yeah, way stations are the set collection piece. And once you get 4 of a kind, basically, you get an extra bonus.
Yep.
So that may be more resources. It may be points at the end of the game.
Those can all change.
But you get extra stuff there.
The way station tokens themselves can be in different areas of the map.
Yep.
And of course, the different people you play with could not affect, like, they're going to take your stuff, but where they go might affect, who turns over the way station things first and gets the extra resource bonus for doing so.
Yeah. It is, having played it at 2, 3, and 4 players, it is much better at 3 and 4, I would think. Because with just you and I playing it, we didn't turn over a lot of those tokens because there was only 2 of us to do it.
Sure.
And so like that whole extra aspect of the game didn't really go into effect. Now when we added that 3rd person, there was more butterflies on the board so that they could spread out further and then we could see what's there.
Yep.
And that it got even easier with 4. And I think you can go to 5, which would make it even that much easier.
Totally. Yeah, so as far as is it worth it, let me just say this, which I don't think I've said about any game we've talked about on the podcast before. You guys ready? You need this in your collection.
What?
I don't even know who you are, and I'm going to say you need it, because I can't think of any type of board game player who wouldn't like this game.
Okay.
There's certain games that we talk about that I really like, but I could understand how someone might not.
What's an example of that?
Rebellion.
Okay, we've said that a lot this episode.
Well,
but yeah.
Okay, it's on the top of my mind.
For sure.
Or Marvel Champions.
Yeah, what's the fashion one?
Pret-a-Porter.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Or Robinson Crusoe. I like that one a lot. I can understand how someone wouldn't. Mm-hmm. So this one, I just really can't think of any type of board game player who wouldn't get enjoyment out of this. It's visually stunning. It's thematic in the ways we talked about in our third category. It has layers. It's complex, but then it's still light in the sense that you can have conversation while you're playing it. You're not like absorbed in, like I need to plan my next 40 moves.
Yeah, and you know what this game does?
Behind this folder.
You know what this game does to help that? You have 2 options every time it's your turn.
Yeah.
You have 2 cards in your hands that you can use. So it's not like you have you might have 8 butterflies on the board, but you have 2 cards to play. Like you don't have to worry about, okay, so how can you do have to worry about maximizing your movements.
Sure.
But that the amount of cards that you have in your hand really limits that. So you're not, your brain is not exploding every time it's your turn.
Yeah. So I would say if you don't have this or have it ordered, you need to go buy it or order it now.
Yeah.
Christian, you said it was a game that you hadn't had a game that you've thought about more, or
yeah, because of how I felt about the first few times playing, I've never had a game recently where I've just been like, how do I unlock this puzzle? Like you talk about solving the puzzle a lot. I like the experience a little bit more than the puzzle, but for some reason this puzzle just got to me, and I don't recall a game that I was thinking about more than this one after playing it. Usually I'm just like, all right, what's next? Let's play something else.
So go get it. This will be played again and again and again on your shelf.
Yeah, and one cool thing as a side note, the publisher AEG of Mariposas, they had like a little promo for charity for like a cancer institute. They actually released like a new color of butterflies.
Yeah.
And so we actually got that today. And so they're a purple butterfly. It was like this young girl's favorite color. And so that kind of like adds a little bit of a fun replayability, that you just get more colors on the board. And this game is so colorful that why not just add another one? And I think it will add like a cool new aspect to it.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one color of a butterfly, it doesn't change much, but it's a neat addition.
Yeah. And I could see in the future getting new season packs.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean, I don't know if they have that plan, of course. I'm not that in the know, everybody. But that would be something that would keep it, fresh. All right. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about some thoughts and ideas that surfaced.
Surfaced ideas.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Well, Mariposas it's a great game. We enjoyed thoroughly playing it this week and the weekends and all days that we played it.
Wow. Okay. So we like to talk about some things ideas or thoughts, something we discussed while playing this game, whether it has to do with each other, our marriage, or just gaming in general. And this one kind of has to do with both. So here's the thought that I had. And guys, I have not talked to Christian about this thought.
Okay.
So he is just blindsided by this. You mentioned it, though, which is funny. You mentioned it earlier in the episode. What do you do in a game when you realize you're not going to be able to win and there's still tons of game left to play?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what goes through your mind? How do you react to that? And do you think that that's changed for you throughout our marriage?
Well, for me, off the top of my head, it really matters on what game it is or what type of game it is. In Mariposas, I just try to get as much points as I can. It's like, you know what? I'm going to try and get my goal. Or, like, it'll pivot a little bit. Like, say I can't get everybody back to Mexico. Then I'll just be like, okay, so I'll just try to get a ton of points by going to these certain spaces. Mm-hmm. Like, I know I'm going to lose, but, let's try to make the most of it. But if it's a different game that's more head-to-head, or if it's with other players, that I'm really going to mess up everyone else.
Yeah. And you find delight in that.
Yeah.
Because it's the experience.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind in that would be, which we haven't talked about on this show, but Western Legends. which I've played with a bunch of guys from work, and they love that game. And I think I've won a few times that we've played it. But if I'm going down hard, then I'm gonna rob everybody. I'm gonna steal their cows. I'm gonna rob the like I'm just gonna get in the way of them winning.
You make the road bumpy.
Yep, that's right.
Do you think that you've gotten like that you've changed in your style throughout our marriage, or as you've played more board games?
I think.
Or no?
I think I've become okay more and more with losing. Like, because the reality is because of the way I play games, I don't win all that much. Unless, like, if it's a head-to-head game against you that I'm in, like, I'll probably win most of the time. Because
like
I'm usually...
Combat?
Yeah, like a Destiny or like a Magic the Gathering type game.
Yeah.
Like, I will probably win that. But if it's other... and losing is not that big of a deal to me anymore. I used to hate losing.
Like when? Because you've always been like cool as a cucumber to me.
Yeah, I think I'm very gracious.
He is very gracious. What a good word.
No, because I remember I said that once on an interview with, not like a job or anything, but we were just chatting. Like, what's one thing you really hate? And I was like, losing. And then I think I just accepted that I will probably lose more than I'll win.
Wow.
So I'm okay. I find joy in the process. I don't care if everyone's having a good time around the table, then I've won.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Hands are in the air right now.
Well.
What about you?
Okay.
I don't even remember what I just said, but
I remember what you said. You are gracious and you're losing. Okay. What do I do when I realize I'm not going to be able to win and there's still a lot of game left? Okay, first of all,
how many chips can you eat?
I drown my sorrows in the food. No, internally, I almost never give up hope. Even if it's obvious.
Yeah.
That I hold on to that like idea that I could somehow do this. The perfect combination of moves, or playing the right card at the right time, or someone else messing up while I capitalize. It's very hard for me to get to a point where I feel like no hope is left. But when I do get to that point, I'm not a happy camper.
No, and that's...
Okay.
We realized that early. And so that's why we moved away from playing those head-to-head games.
Right.
I remember one of the first games that we got when we started doing board games was Dice Masters. That was a very popular game at the time. Mm-hmm. We played that a bunch. And I think you got mad a lot from that game.
I've since forgotten how to play that game.
Purposefully, probably.
The trauma. Okay, no, but I do think, and maybe you need to check me on this, I feel like I've gotten better. I'm nowhere near you. I understand that. But I feel like I've gotten better than I was at the beginning of our gaming journey in our marriage.
I think, again, it depends on what game it is. Losing
True.
a game of Mariposas, that's NBD. Like, whatever. It's butterflies, right? Like, I can understand the frustration that you lost. But, like, if the game took 90 minutes, it's not that big of a time crunch. But, like, again, to beat a dead horse, Rebellion, you losing Rebellion is not good because it's been a 2-day process.
And not only that, but it is like extremely head to head.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking of like, why can't I think of it? It's Dice. It's not Dice Masters. Destiny.
Destiny.
That's a hard one for me to swallow. And I think that you're right. It probably depends on how like combative the nature of the game is. But I feel like I've gotten better, and I hope to get to a place where I can realize I'm not going to be able to win, and I can say, okay, then maybe I try something that I want to try and see if it works for next, like gather some intel for next time, so to speak. Like, okay, I'm not going to win this game, but so let me try something. Let me try some power that my character has, or let me try this move with this card and see what that does. And of course that's different when it's cooperative as opposed to competitive, because I'll always be thinking about like the team versus myself. So that's a whole different story. But for competitive games, I hope to get to a point where I can just, okay, I'm not going to win this game, but what can I do?
Yeah, because there's some good 2-player games that we have that I think would be a lot more fun if, the threat of losing wasn't so devastating.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I think I've gotten better, but maybe you don't think I've gotten better.
Well, to be honest, we haven't played a lot of games that would trigger that.
What's it called? We did a podcast on it, and I can't remember.
Fort.
Yes, I know that one. No.
It's okay.
The orange ships that I kept stealing.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't I think of it?
Yeah, Cosmic Encounter.
Cosmic Encounter.
That one is very head-to-head, but it's also, and I think with why you're okay with it, is it just has that chance of 100% randomness. It's like I could be in the lead, 4-4 or 5-4, and you need to get to 6, and then there literally would be a card that was like, okay, switch points, and then now all of a sudden you're in the lead.
Right.
So like there's not a lot you can control in that game, and I think you're okay with that.
Yeah.
For a game like Undaunted Normandy, there's a little bit more you can control, like where you put your characters and what cards you play at what time.
True.
And so losing that game is maybe more of
a hit.
Personal hit.
I haven't lost that game recently, though.
No, you beat me twice in a row. Yeah. Again, losing, but whatever.
Oh, you guys. So I hope that you are less like me and more like Christian in this aspect of gameplay. But Mariposas did bring that up because we have both had separately and in the same game this realization of we are not going to win.
Yeah, this is going downhill.
This is
fast.
going down. And what do you do when you still have 5 turns left?
Yep. And I've won this game once. So that helps. And I won it pretty commandingly. I had like the perfect cards at the perfect time. And I think that has a lot to do with this game as well. And then like the other time, one time I came in second. So I haven't lost a lot. And maybe this is just the game that is the game for me. I don't know.
This is your game.
Maybe.
Look at
Butterflies.
that.
Who knew?
All right. We will be right back.
All right, everybody, as we wrap up the show today, we just want to we just want to let everybody know how they can contact us. Angela, why don't you run that down really fast?
Did you want me to shout it?
If you want to, yeah. Let me
Shout
turn
it
down
out.
the microphone.
Okay. All right. So you can email us, hello@marriedandbored.com. You can also find us on Instagram @marriedandbored. And then you can go to our website, marriedandbored.com.
Yes.
Did I just say that?
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys.
It's been a long week.
I promise I'm not drinking any alcohol
that's true.
right now.
You're not. You have Diet Coke, probably with whiskey in it.
No. So you can also fill out the form on our website.
Yeah, that's right. Ange, before we go again, I got a random question for you, and I thought it'd be fun to ask you.
Sure.
And hopefully it'd just give a little bit more insight on who we are to our listeners.
Oh,
yeah.
Is this like a hot seat question?
This is a deep question, yeah.
Oh, no.
Just 1 or 2 things right now that is bringing you joy or happiness outside of board games.
Oh. Okay. Well, you know the first one that popped into my head.
I think I can guess.
Okay. Hamilton.
Yeah.
Everybody, go watch Hamilton.
Go watch it.
I'm a late Hamilton adoptee because I have only seen it since it was released on Disney Plus, the recording of the live show.
Yep.
I never have been to a live show, and of course, that's not possible right now, but I hope to in the future.
I think that is definitely on your list now, with as many times as you've watched it, and we've listened to it in the car, and the books we've read, and the YouTube videos we've watched.
Yes. Shout out to my sister-in-law, Maggie,
that's
who
right.
tried to convince not just me, but all of us in the family that this was a great musical before it ever was released on Disney Plus, long before.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen.
Yeah. And I fall into that too a little bit. We're a musical family. Like, we love music. We each of us play instruments and sing, and our kids do that too. And
I
so
can see like 3 instruments right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so like this, for whatever reason, no pun intended, struck a chord with us. And like literally every day since we've watched it, the first time we watched it was your birthday at the end of July.
Yes.
Every day since then, each of us has woken up with a song from that show in our head.
Yep.
It doesn't go away.
Nope.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
It doesn't go away, and
it's here to stay.
And so far, it gets better every single time I watch it.
Yeah.
So, that is I know you said 1 or 2 things, but I think that's the only thing I can think of.
No, that's a good one. What
about you?
Similarly, I've been doing a lot of that with you.
Yeah, so you can't steal mine.
But
that's not fair.
One thing I do enjoy is, outside of board games, is history. I've always been not a history buff, but I just enjoy reading about U.S. history. And this obviously takes place in the Revolution. So I've got 2 things that I've just been kind of thinking about or playing with. What's the right word? I don't know. We're watching a show at Netflix called Turn.
Oh, yes.
And it's about spies in the Revolutionary War. That Hamilton got us interested in that, so we're watching that. It's very cool. And I do enjoy reading books, and so I'm reading a book on the Revolutionary War.
Called?
I don't know. That is a great question.
No.
Spoilers. I can't remember it. I should have thought of this.
I can picture the cover.
I know, it was a random question that, you know what? Hold on.
You guys just hang.
All right, guys, thanks for that little detour. I had to pause the show to look up a book. It's called The British Are Coming, The War for America. And it is book 1 of a trilogy, actually.
Okay.
And it's by, what's his name? Rick Atkinson. It's a thick book. And it's also, at the same time, deceivingly thick, because I looked at the end of the book, and probably the last 175 pages are references.
Well, yeah, because it's history.
I know, but it's good. It starts in Lexington, British are coming, all the way up to the Battle of Princeton, which I don't even know what that is yet. So, been slowly getting through that. It's not a good book to read at night as you're falling asleep.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
I'm just like, okay, it's bedtime.
So that's it's what's interesting for me is like kind of learning or relearning or unlearning. I don't know what, maybe all 3 of those, all the stuff that I learned in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, man, nobody taught me that ever.
Yeah.
Or, I thought it was like this, but it was really like this.
Yeah, and it's probably like we haven't thought about these things for a very, very long time, and it's just kind of like one of those things that happened in history. And now that we're interested in again, like we're in our 30s now, so it's like a whole different perspective. Like, these people, these founding fathers were 30, or they grew up in that time, and we just grew up in it's
totally
blows your mind sometimes.
So we're gonna start a history podcast.
Yeah, right. No way. I'm not
no,
that smart.
It's just total. I don't know, nerd city over here.
Yeah.
We like all that stuff.
So there you go. Not purposely about the same things, but Hamilton. We love Hamilton and The British Are Coming book and Turn on AMC. All about the American Revolution. Yeah. What are you going to do?
And we decided that, if you have a question or something to say to us, please just write in or find us on Instagram. We always want to handle and interact with people. That's what we love about the board gaming community. But we thought we would take a break from asking a specific question. So whatever comes to mind, just let us know, and we'll interact with you wherever you reach out to us.
Wherever it is. We hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, we'll come back at you in a couple weeks. And you know what? It's our year anniversary of doing the show in a couple weeks.
Oh, yay.
So we're excited to talk about that and kind of, maybe some ideas of where it's going in the next year and a look back.
A romantic time on the anniversary edition.
Bye.
See you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram at marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time. The games we blah, 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 blah.
COVID and all the junk that out, blah, 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 blah.